Okay, well, while people are coming in, I just want to welcome everyone and to the September Slow Flowers virtual meetup a la Zoom. And we've been doing this since the end of March, which is pretty exciting. I'm Debra Prinzing, founder and creative director of Slow Flowers, and I'm coming to you from my office. I tried to tidy up before we got onto the call. And I want to introduce Nisha Blancas of Fetching Social, who's our wonderful social media manager. And Nisha will be tracking the names of everybody who is on the meeting today so that your names will go into the pool for the giveaways. And we've got some really great giveaways today, including some gifts from Floral Genius. And TJ is going to be using one of their mechanics, so we'll talk more about that later. Karen Thornton, our operations manager, is managing the chat box. So if you have any questions, you see Karen moderator as one of the avatars. Just send her a note and she'll help you troubleshoot. But we're also going to take questions for TJ in the chat box, so feel free to just post those, and we'll ask him. I'll be asking him questions as he goes, and also we'll have some at the end. So I think everybody knows the drill. Keep your audio off if you don't mind. You can have your video on so we can see you. It looks like a lot of people have their video off today, but we'd love to see your beautiful faces. As I said, we started the virtual meetups at the end of March. It's kind of an antidote to COVID and feeling isolated. And now, of course, there's so many more reasons that we need to be connected as we're dealing with everything from racial justice issues and our concern about being representational and inclusive as an organization, and also the wildfires that are up and down the West Coast. My heart goes out to them. We were worried about Santa Cruz a couple weeks ago. We thought things had kind of slowed down, and now parts of Northern California and all the way up into Oregon and into the state of Washington, people are really, really suffering. And so I haven't heard of any farms that have been damaged, but I've heard from farmers that some of their employees have lost homes in Southern Oregon. So we're sending our healing thoughts and survival thoughts to them. And of course it is 9/11, and we just have to acknowledge that we are in a world where things like destruction of Twin Towers and the deaths of so many innocent people happened 19 years ago. So Nisha posted a beautiful tribute to 9/11 on our Instagram feed, and I really appreciated that. And we'll be watching and seeing what everybody posts today and making sure we can comment and support. So I felt like with all this weight in the world, we needed some beauty and we needed some inspiration. And so I've been obsessing over TJ McGrath's feed. I mean, since I met him, which was in about March. TJ McGrath is the head designer and creative content director or creator for Blue Jasmine Floral, which is in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. And we've just struck up a friendship, and you can find him at TJ McGrath Design. And Karen is going to put his Instagram handle in the feed. But we met when Blue Jasmine Floral joined Slow Flowers as a member. And so TJ's kind of wearing both hats today. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited. And I'm thinking it's great because we actually have like 7 mini-moni things happening this weekend. So there's a whole team on the other side of the computer working with beautiful flowers and doing amazing things.
It's great that you're surrounded by flowers, and it's great that you guys have mini-monis. I mean, wow. Tell us a little bit about Blue Jasmine and your role, and kind of just to put a pin in it, what has happened this year? When you mentioned mini-monis, I'm sure there were ceremonies that got downsized or postponed because you're mainly a wedding and event studio, right?
Mostly that is the biggest part of the business, although we do a retail business as well. I think Paulina would correct me because she can hear me. I think Paulina this is Mornellis, our first actual spring wedding that's postponement come to life. Yeah, so this Saturday we have a girl who was getting married back in May in New York City, who's just was waiting, and finally in July was like, tell me a venue to go look at in New Jersey. I want to get married this year. So,
wow.
And Interestingly, he didn't compromise her vision at all because the venue she picked is actually much larger than the restaurant she was getting married in New York City. So everybody postponed, and a lot of them postponed to next year. You know, it's kind of, I'm sure, the same for everybody. It's wait and see. You know, there are some that postponed until later in the fall, but we're all doing this, waiting to see what happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So having a number of small, designing for a number of small mini monies this week means that you're doing what, mostly personals for like pickup?
No, actually, they're mini monies in that the folks wanted to get married and scaled back. So one of them is in somebody's backyard, and we're doing a big green wall backdrop. There's a part of her fence that she doesn't like. And there's table arrangements. Brunel's, for example, is doing the full wedding. You know, there's 10 tables for 40 guests and flowers on everything. And
wow.
And she's going the whole 9 yards. Like, when the pictures come back, you'll never know that it was during COVID that this event theoretically happened. So no, not just, some of them are just personals. I think there's one or two that are just personals, but another one is going all the way up to the Hudson Valley somewhere. It's kind of like a drop and go. We're giving her instructions on how to attach things for the ceremony, but she's also got table arrangements, another backyard wedding. So, not just personal flowers.
Wow. So in addition to doing the content for Blue Jasmine Floral, you've been feeding your Instagram feed filling it with some yummy images of just basically like floral studies. I don't know how else to describe them. You play with shape a lot, and I just encourage everybody to check out TJ's feed. But can you describe, what is your aesthetic, and like what motivates you when you sometimes are just cutting from your garden, and sometimes maybe spending a little bit of money on flowers to create a sort of an iconic piece for your daily posts?
So, I mean, I think my feed kind of started out as, I love this job. So I practice a lot. My feed is really all of my practice. And that's where, so if you'll notice, actually, if you scroll through, you might see two very different shapes, but all the same flowers. Because for me, right now, it's all practice. So rather than spend $50 at the co-op and make one arrangement and then just watch it, I'll take a picture of it and then I'll take it all apart and make it again. So, and it's a challenge because I don't spend a lot of money. Like, so for example, today I've got 4 varieties. I've got some zinnias, I've got some dahlias, I've got some straw flower and some lisianthus, and then just a couple of clips from my own garden. Last year, my feed was a little more prolific from my own garden, but now this year I have 2 dogs, and they've kind of
done a number on things.
We have a lot of manholes that we didn't used to have. But yeah, so it's kind of that, for me, it's the practice. It's trying to, I don't think I'll ever perfect the craft, but who knows? You don't know if it's
so do you feel like you're learning your aesthetic by these practice sessions? Like you follow the flower?
Exactly. So, and I'm going to give a plug to Floral Genius folks. So I brought some greens today, some spirea from my garden, but I don't hate the way this looks. I love it. I love the ingenuity behind it. I learned the story a couple of weeks ago on a recent post on Floral Genius, and the whole history behind this. So, I don't even try to, I know a lot of designers try to hide all their mechanics and you don't see anything. I don't really worry about that. For one, it doesn't necessarily photograph. You don't see the mechanics. So I'm not worried about holes. What I do think about though is, if I have to deliver this, if I sell this now as a retail arrangement, and I'm not worried about the holes in the mechanics, will it hold? And I will tell you, I've now driven this bowl around with this thing in here and flowers in it, and nothing has moved 3 times so far, and I've only had it for a couple of weeks. So,
TJ, do you use floral adhesive, or what are you using to anchor that?
That floral putty at the bottom.
Okay, great. That's a generous bowl. It looks like it's something you would put pho in or something like that. It's beautiful.
So Home Goods is open, and I thought, I like that. I really like it. So
All right. Well, do you want to get started a little bit and show us what you're going to do with these yummy flowers? And I would like you to talk about the New Jersey Gardens. It's Garden City Flower Co-op is your go-to source for these local flowers, right?
State Flower Co-op. So everything with the exception of the Coleus and the Spirea that I will go in this arrangement is grown by growers here in New Jersey. I actually have one of them is freelancing for us. Jill, how many growers are in the co-op? Yeah, it's like 15, somewhere between like 15 and 20 growers. So it's they're all really great folks.
I said Garden City. I apologize. It's Garden State Flower Co-op, and we'll put the link in. What I was excited about when I found out about this co-op in New Jersey is that it's for you, and you're the one who told me about this, TJ. It saves you guys from having to go into New York City to buy flowers all the time, right?
100%. So you would go into New York City for the variety, and now that we have this co-op, you know, I mean, again, I was working off a budget, and this is a practice arrangement for me, right? So I stick to a minimal number of varieties, but there were so many. I could have spent 3 weeks paychecks on variety and color palette and this and that, and we save on all the tolls, all the taxes, all the the parking of getting in and out of the city. So it's it's like having New York City Flower Market 8 miles away. It's great.
And you're starting to educate your clients too that these flowers are super local. And
we thought, I mean, Paulina posted in hers every single time. If there's even one bloom from the co-op in an arrangement, it's tagged. We tag them. There's actually a kind of much more traditional florist just down the road from us here who is now popping at the co-op, and I'm not going to pretend that that isn't influenced by us because she wouldn't have ever heard of them. It's not necessarily her aesthetic, and I feel like that's amazing because I mean she's a really nice lady, and we chatted and stuff. She's like, "What you guys do is so incredible," and all that stuff. But for her to then say, "Wow, maybe local flowers are good," maybe we can work some of that into some of my stuff too. That just is amazing.
Right. And I appreciate your attitude. Like you're actually sharing your sources, and that is influencing someone who potentially could be described as a competitor, but your aesthetic is so different. It's not a threat per se.
No, I mean, Paulina's mantra is, you have to teach it forward because the benefits you get back from teaching somebody are endless. They're just absolutely endless. You teach somebody something and then they turn around, they may interpret it in a different way, and now you've learned something from that person. So she's never shied away from teaching. She's never worried about whether or not that are you teaching your competitor? Well, I think actually, I'll be honest, we thought about that question once, and then we were like, we live in New Jersey. There's like half the population of the earth, it seems like, during rush hour living right here. So I think there's enough customers for everything.
So what are you adding to that? So you started with the dahlias.
I started with the dahlias, and I've already gone off of what I normally do. So normally I kind of start with one, theoretically that's covering the mechanics lower, but I started building my shape out this way. I thought about the colors at market when I picked them, so that for all intents and purposes today, I don't have to think about where the colors are going. They're just in my mind in the vases. Like that crazy zinnia is
it's crazy.
Like I feel like I almost can't screw it up color-wise because I already worked that part out when I was shopping.
So you kind of are designing the palette as you're choosing the flowers at the market.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I don't know, like it or hate it, I also will be a little adventurous and throw in colors, I think. Like, for example, you'll see a lot of yellow on my feed. I love yellow. I think yellow gets a bad rap from everything. Yellow seems to fall into like grocery store flowers kind of category sometimes, I think, for people. And I love yellow, right? You know, before the dogs ruined my garden, there was a whole 3 week entire backyard was yellow, and I was kind of happy about it. So I did sort of start this differently because I was designing to you on that side. And
Yeah, I know it's hard to design away from you, but you're doing a beautiful job. I'm curious to know, like, the flower to foliage ratio is really heavy on flowers. And I feel like that is something that I notice when I see your posts. Is that intentional, or does it just depend on the season?
the flowers to
Like you're heavy on flowers and light on foliage, it seems like.
flowers better, honestly, than foliage. It depends too. I mean, I really think that these farm flowers are so incredibly beautiful, and I think that some of their beauty gets lost when you start matching them with greens. They start to feel like farmer bouquets, which are beautiful. I pick them up when I'm at the farmer's market myself. But I feel like by pulling the foliage out of an arrangement like this, I'm really highlighting farm flowers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. My mother would never have thought that a zinnia was a bougie flower, but I'm trying to make the zinnia be a bougie flower.
I love it. Yeah, elevate the lowly zinnia. But the ones that you're working with are like in the Benari giant series. I mean, they almost look like dahlias themselves. They're so big.
Yeah, they do. And so this is also like, you'll notice everything I have, with the exception of Blue Jasmine, which is the sort of it's like light. It's pearly pink, so it doesn't really go, but I'm gonna pretend and hope that at the end it does go. But everything else that I'm working with is all circles, and I feel like that I do to myself all the time because that's a challenge to make the same shape feel organic and different and engaging when at the end of the day they're all circles. So I'm asking, myself to get the audience involved beyond. I almost lose texture, or there's too much texture.
So are you saying that you try to get flowers of the similar shape but different scale, like from the petite straw flower to the bigger dahlia?
Exactly. So they were all rounds.
Yeah.
Mostly because those were the ones that fit in the budget, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's the challenge. The challenge is not only make a shape that's interesting, but make a shape with one other shape that becomes sort of engaging. And you guys don't have to be the judge of it.
Well, I can't. I'm reflecting back while we're talking of the one that you did recently with just all hydrangea, big, fat, fluffy hydrangeas, and it was just one flower, but you got this very distinctive form in the bowl.
I'm not lying, and I'm not just plugging Floral Genius. I would not have gotten that without that hairpin. Like, that was a hairpin that enabled me to achieve that shape. And so, a big part of what we talk about a lot here is mechanics. And, Paulina and I are both great thinkers, and sometimes I have to come up with great mechanics while she's got a bridal bouquet in her hand. But, try new mechanics. Like, if I could tell, I need to try things that you think aren't going to work. For example, I knew we were on a limited time schedule. My next try to change the shape is to put a chicken wire tube around the bottom of this hairpin to see if I can manipulate shapes a little bit more that way, get a little more control out of it, because I'm not going to have 1,000 stems to create a grid this far out in the bowl. So that kind of determines the shape that I'm going to end up with.
Okay, so I'm intrigued. What is the chicken wire grid? Do you form it into some kind of tubular shape?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do the next time I use this hairpin is make a tube, like just cut a thin strip and roll it into a tube so that I'm kind of almost extending the hairpin out, but not really. You know what I mean? So once I've got all my things, if I want a flower at the edge of here that's standing up, it'll be held in place or helped hopefully by the chicken wire tube around the hair.
Like these extenders.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Someone's asking, is it like a donut of chicken wire around the hairpin?
So yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Big giant donut up here.
Okay, we want to see photos of that after you finish, after you take this beautiful thing apart.
I'll do that. I'll do that. That'll be my home project tonight.
I really appreciate what you said, though, because if you're merely doing something for practice, and I have seen other designers do this where you're like, I'm going to make something and then, but I don't have more flowers. So I'm going to photograph it and then take it apart and try to push my design or try a different, approach that I maybe wouldn't normally do. Like let those flowers be your paint box and just keep painting new palettes.
Exactly. I mean, aside from getting more content out of it, it's just more experience. Like I do get a lot of questions from people in my messages, like, where did you study? Oh my God, where did you study? I'm like, well, I studied at the School of Paulina. We learned everything by ourselves. And, and practice like, grocery store flowers. In December, I'm going to have to go to the grocery store and buy flowers to practice them.
Wow.
Because sadly, you guys are lucky. You're in the Northwest. You get flowers almost all the time.
Yes, but we've got members on here from all across the U.S. So I don't want to make it sound like it's all nirvana out here, but we do have a lot of in the Northwest. We do have a lot of availability, except for about maybe 3 months of the year. But I think all around the country, as we see farmers trying to push the envelope on seasonality. Like you have access to some greenhouse anemones and ranunculus in New Jersey, don't you, in the winter?
We do. Tau ranunculus is maybe 45 minutes away. She doesn't ship. She'll let you come and shop at her thing, but most of her ranunculus go to the New York City market. So,
is this how Tau and Sons?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so whimsical and charming. I wore orange today because I just had a feeling you were going to design in orange, but it wasn't planned. It's just making me so happy.
I was like, should I actually have another arrangement that I did last night at home that I can show you at the end, using the oval hairpin because I have this oval vase. I did buy 2 color palettes, but I was like, I'm not gonna stray away from who I really am. I love orange and yellow. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. No. So,
I haven't. Someone just posted that she's in Boston. So there you go. Somebody who has a similar issues as New Jersey weather. Thanks, Samantha. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing with like keeping some flowers very low in the bulb where we don't even see the stem at all, and then others where you're almost exaggerating the stem length?
So I'm getting that whimsical compliment that you just gave me, but for me, really, it's creating the depth. And I think depth is one of the things that I started really focusing on or recently. I'm trying to achieve a lot of flowers, but not lose depth. So I can scroll through my feed and pick out 10 very quickly arrangements that in my mind are failures because I lost all the depth. And I can remember saying to myself, stop. But then I looked over and I was like, I do have 30 ranunculus.
Yeah.
Gotta use them.
Yeah. I see. The urge to fill is there.
And then you end up like, I love cake. I eat it all the time, but I don't always want my flowers to look like cake. And for me, then it just makes it that much, my hope is always that wherever this arrangement lands, whoever sees it wants to walk up and look at it, like rather than just walk by and be like, wow, that's just real pretty. You know what I mean? I'm always striving for someone to want to be engaged with the arrangement. I love skins, so
yeah. So you're adding the Lizzies now, and what were you saying, that they're more pale pink than in the apricot range?
Corelli. And so the reason I got them is because I wanted, so from the design perspective, this one's kind of a little yucky. I wanted this to be the light that kind of would be missing. So it'll make it slightly less saturated.
Mm-hmm.
It'll kind of give the eye a pause and a rest. I hope that's my goal.
I think it blends beautifully, and it just there's enough of that undertone in even in the Lisianthus where it's, or maybe it's just reflecting off of the orange and it's just picking up the glow of the orange.
For me, Lissy, you know, I have a few favorite flowers. Tulips, I love tulips. But Lisianthus, I think here at Blue Jasmine, we always believe that the minute you put a Lisianthus, even next to a peony, it steals the show from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your own locally forest Lisianthus, it can steal the show from what somebody thinks is the diamond of the flower world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're so light and fluttery and beautiful. And we always kind of, you know, reflect them, which is great for event work. They're more beautiful, obviously, when you get to see what's happening inside.
Mm.
If you're a retail florist, mostly, my suggestion would be to give your audience that view reflects one or two, but if you've got like 5 or 6, you want them to open naturally for your customer because the life expectancy is not that much shorter, but it is definitely shorter. So way to complain if you can, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. So TJ, you said you studied at the School of Paulina. How long have you been doing floral design?
6 years, Paulina? Yeah. 6 years. 6 years.
Is that when you started working? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a little bit older than everybody else, so my short-term memory is a little, you know, has a little more to get through. Yeah, so the story, this is the God's honest true story. I had a horrible job working for a national retailer in operations, and I had to deal with shrinks, people stealing and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it wasn't a horrible job. It was just a horrible job, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And my husband has a beautiful head of hair, quite unlike me. And you've got a beautiful head. It's a good shape. I will give myself that. But he came home one day and it's like, this cute little shop opened up in town. It looks just like all the kinds of things you always talk about. See, like that one, I know you can't see him, but he's way down in there, and I don't mind. He's not in the water, but he just kind of, if I was walking by this, I'd be like, where is that guy? I'd want to walk in. But anyway, he out Paulina's shop, and I went, and I checked it out. It was beautiful, and she wasn't there because she was still a full-time teacher when she started the shop. And there was like some high school girl there, and she was in her phone, and she didn't even say hello. I have a retail background, so I went home and said to Andrew, I went to that shop. I'm going to quit my job tomorrow, and I'm going to get a job there. And he was like, what? What are you talking about? Did you meet the owner? What does she do? What is it about? What's the whole story? And I was like, I don't know, but they need my help because the retail girl could have told me tons of stuff, and she didn't. So that is the story. I went to work and quit my job. And my boss was like, what? Do you have a job? And I said, no, but I know where I want to work. Wow. Battle. So
that's great. But you're right. Having a retail experience, even in another profession or another category, probably was a benefit for coming to a retail flower shop.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think again, this is going to sound like an old man talking to you, but I think the world would be a better place if college kids had to do a semester working as a waiter and working in customer service in a retail environment, because they both teach you how to multitask, you know, how to handle all kinds of situations with people. You know, at the end of the day, unless you're a hermit on the side of the mountain, we're all dealing with people at some point, right? Yeah. If you're selling flowers, you're dealing with people hopefully all the time.
Karen Thornton, our operations manager, said in her humble opinion, retail experience and customer service helps any career. So she agrees.
Honestly, I paid for college waiting and bartending. I didn't owe a single penny at the end of it, except for something like $600 in parking tickets. And You know,
And now, look, now you get to play with flowers.
now I get to do with flowers. So what do you guys think? I mean, I'm kind of on
I
top of
think it's
it.
stunning. I really do. Candace has a question. Candace Howard from Duchess Farms. I misspoke and said she was part of the Garden State Flower Co-op. She's a separate grower. So Candace wants to know, TJ, how would you transport this, and what tricks or tips would you offer for like keeping it stabilized? Because I know that that's the excuse that a lot of foam users throw out, that well, pin frogs and hairpin frogs and other kind of non-foam mechanics aren't stable. But what's your take on that?
So I think I think if you designed in a pin frog, we all of Murnellis's wedding flowers are going in pin frogs this weekend, which is amazing. And it is one about the mechanics that you start with. So her budget didn't allow for just a pin frog. So the big compote has a chicken wire topper to help. It really starts with your design and making sure that your design passes the shake test. You know what I mean? You like give it a shake. Is it going to jiggle? Is everything going to fall apart? And then from there, you need to hire TJ to come and teach you how to pack, because packing another skill that we use. We reuse as much as we can. So your flowers all come in a box. If our arrangements can fit in a box, the box eventually is going to make it to the recycling, so why not have it be a little wet and make it softer to put into the recycling bin. We have these gray Tupperware bins that can hold, depending on the size, up to 6 centerpieces. It's all about packing it in and making sure, and we learned that because we used to let the flowers breathe in the packing, and that was a problem because then they had room to do this.
Right,
so if you
right.
start out with a sturdy design to begin with, you can squish them up against each other without losing integrity. And we never arrive without a couple of extra blooms for breakage, and that's kind of, I know a lot of designers will be like, oh, but I don't, the budget doesn't entail that. Our thought process is, if this was the recipe for this arrangement and I had like 5 flowers left, I would say, I'm going to save those five flowers for either pupa on site or breakage later, because I think I've achieved what we've sold with this recipe. So we never are, saying to ourselves, we'll hold these back. If the bride paid for the flowers, they go to her wedding. Although the recipe may have had 5 more of whatever, they're somewhere else if that arrangement looks beautiful and would have been over.
I think that's really smart. And of course, inevitably, you get to a venue and there's the cocktail bar that didn't have flowers, or the extra groomsmen that you didn't know about, and you have to.
There's the handsome waiter who comes over and is like, do you have flowers I can put on my pass tray? And I'm like, how do I say no to you?
Oh my gosh, TJ, you're great. I want to shadow you someday. I think it would be a hoot, especially when we get back to the big wedding world, which may not be until 2022, but so how many stems do you think you have in there? 30 maybe?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 30.
Okay.
About 30. I'm like, honestly, I'm just keep going because nerves and chatty and whatever, but I could, as far as I'm concerned, there's not a whole lot of holes. I like the shape that I've got. I feel like it's got the right amount of engagement and whimsy. Like, if I step back from it, I don't see there's one hole right there. Like,
okay.
That
do you have, when you finish an arrangement like this, and then you obviously photograph it, what's your process in choosing which is the right side, and where do you photograph? Are you photographing like on your kitchen table? Like it's very studio-like.
Literally photographed right here on this wall behind me.
Okay.
And that was intentional when she built the studio. We knew that what we sell is a visual art, and we needed to create a space where we could get some natural light in. So this wall is always available. Sometimes the events spill over, but then the photography schedule changes. So Blue Jasmine is always photographed here. And yeah, I mean, I think about as I'm bringing an arrangement over, I'll kind of look at it. My biggest area of opportunity is this is a different arrangement on both sides. I'll get one picture and be happy with it and completely forget. There's another, there's another side of content here.
Absolutely. Wow.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like you have a little bit more of the yellow palette on one side and a little more of the orange palette on the other. So you do have kind of two opportunities to capture the look.
And I have an opportunity to remember that more when I'm actually photographing.
It's great.
But I mean, my favorite thing about this arrangement is that it is all locally grown, because we struggle to find locally grown, and we have a local wholesaler who would get some local stuff, but more like cooler standard sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
He had one farmer who grew some dahlias, but dahlias, how many thousands of varieties are there?
Right.
So,
and how many can one wedding gobble up?
Right. I think this week we have 125.
Yeah.
All locally grown.
Yeah.
It's amazing, because our dahlia season has been struggling, as I think most people in the Northeast anyway have been dealing with. Anybody I've talked to, their dahlia crops are suffering. But
wow, it's beautiful. The takeaways from me are, it's okay to play with flowers. Do it as often as you can, because it is like professional development. Basically, you're teaching yourself maybe what you haven't realized you are capable of.
Right, and I will tell you, like, honestly, my budget, I've grown to now adding 2 or 3 varieties. But a lot of the learning that I did was picking up one bunch of Lysianthus and seeing, what I could do with Lysianthus and greens from my garden or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And through that one bunch, I sort of discovered my own love for negative space. You know what I mean? Because the first bunch I picked up last winter, it was January. There was nothing to add to it in my garden. And I just created this very dancing Lysianthus arrangement. That is probably one of my favorite arrangements I've ever made. And it's monofloral, and it's light, and it's airy, and I don't care that you can see the mechanics, because it's beautiful. And
it's all about the shape. That's what you're really illustrating with what you've even done here. And it's not symmetrical, but it's definitely not austere. Like you have volume on both sides. Yeah. But I love the whimsy of it too. TJ, thank you so much. I really adore it, and I hope you post it so we can all like it and give you.
Well, thank you. Oh, let me show you this one then.
Yeah.
Really, I know I'm watching.
Yeah.
And this is really just to highlight more garden state flowers.
Oh my gosh, a purple explosion.
A purple explosion. And so when I got home last night, there was a package from Floral Genius, and there was an oval hairpin, and this is kind of like a boat shaped. I was like, I have to. I love it. I'm like, now I have to go buy more because they're amazing.
So what do you have in there? You have, so that's an oval shaped vessel. So the oval shaped hairpin frog fits in there perfectly.
It does. It's absolutely perfect. So I've got, I don't know actual, genuses. I just know what I picked. I've got some clematis, cupcake, cosmos. There's some more of that pink Lysianthus. There are 2 varieties of dahlia in here. There is zinnias, and that's it.
Oh my gosh,
it's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, TJ, I think if you can stay on, I'm going to have Stephanie from Floral Genius jump in, and she can maybe talk a little bit about what they have to offer. And also, someone asked the question, which type of hairpin frog that is. So let's take Stephanie off of mute so we can get her on the screen. Stephanie, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, Stephanie and Jessica. Hi, ladies.
We're here. Yay.
Did you like what TJ did with your mechanics?
Gosh, it's beautiful. And that oval hairpin design, holy smokes.
So good. Have you seen our Instagram feed? It's like everything I can do not to just make it like the TJ show.
I had no idea. It makes me happy that we are in the same camp. Someone asked what that one was. Did you just send a particular size of the oval?
So the oval, it's a 3 3/4 inch, so that's long. It's 3 3/4 inches long, and then it's about 2 inches wide. So it's nice. I love the oval, and it's probably one of our top sellers. So people really eat it up. I love that one, and it's something just a little bit different. Like especially if you're doing like an elongated arrangement or have an elongated dish, it definitely helps kind of give you that structure all the way down. Even though TJ, I'm totally like thinking about how can I make chicken wire donuts and sell them.
Very easy.
I'm sure it could be called the TJ chicken wire donut.
Yeah, TJ lifesaver. I dig it. I dig it a lot.
When I saw the oval, my first thought wasn't actually that base. My first thought was my grandmother's soup tureen.
Yes.
It worked perfectly in my grandmother's soup tureen. I didn't have enough flowers to make it this big. I'm one of 8 million kids, so.
That's exactly what I do in my Thanksgiving arrangement is the soup tureen with the oval hairpin.
She made me a beautiful arrangement when we got eloped this summer using that, and it was awesome.
Yes.
Well, since we've got you here, Stephanie, and Stephanie, you changed your last name, right?
Kind of. Sometimes I do. I didn't today.
Okay, so Avil / new husband, and
it'll be Duncan eventually. It's
okay. Congratulations.
Yeah,
So Stephanie Duncan and Jessica Hall, the ladies behind Floral Genius. Can you guys just give us a little snapshot of Floral Genius and how it came to be, and maybe show a little bit of product too?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So our let's see. So what was it? 2016. I'm gonna try to like take a crazy story and force it down. But 2016, we got actually, who was it that introduced us to Lynn?
That was Lisa Ziegler. It was another flower farmer who also carries an online tool store and was able to connect us with Dorothy Biddle.
Yeah. So all this is her fault. And we adore her for it. But basically, these pin frogs and the hairpins were manufactured by a company in Pennsylvania who were trying to get out of the business, and we're kind of at a point where they were like, we're just going to take all this stuff to the scrapyard. And we were like, no, you're not. We don't know anything about melting metal. We don't know anything about making these things, but let us have a shot at it. So we acquired the business and got officially up and running in January of 2017. And it was a learning process. It's taken us, a couple years to really get our feet under us and feel good about it. And we've made some changes to certain things to make it better. And the hairpin, so we have our hairpin, and TJ was showing it, but I've got one here too. This is our hairpin. These are, we're actually the only makers in the world of this style. And the story is that the lady that invented these in the 30s literally saw her son melting metal and pulled a hairpin out of her hair and stuck it in the metal. And that's how these came to be. So Dorothy Biddle Service made these for about over 60 years and then passed them to us. And every little pin is hand set. So they are very handcrafted. And then also we have the pin holders. So your standard pin holders. And these are, basically, the standard what you think of when you think of a pin holder. And ours are a lot different than some of the imported versions because they have extremely sharp nails. They are very long and they're set a lot closer together. So they just have a better hold than what we found a lot of the imported versions do. And we've talked to a lot of Ikebana people and a lot of, people who have used pin frogs religiously, and they will hands down say that these are the closest thing you can get to the Japanese version, which is like the Mecca. And we're just super proud that they're made right here in the US. So we have those two styles, and then the last one is just a pin cup. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a watertight cup that has a pin holder down in it. So, and these are really heavy, so they will absolutely hold a lot of different stuff. So over the past 3 years, we've just been over here learning how to melt metal and make pin holders.
Spread the good word about foam-free design mechanics and the versatility that the Flower Frog line that we offer can provide to designers.
For sure. And I'll just add on to that really quick, TJ. I know that you were saying like I think it's brilliant to take flowers and then take a picture and deconstruct it and make something new with it. And I think that, you know, a really good advantage of using pin holders or the hairpin holder is that your mechanic stays through all of those transitions. If you take flowers out, even if while you're designing something that's a retail piece, or what have you, when you're moving stuff around, you don't have to worry about holes getting into your foam and your base kind of crumbling down like foam will do. You have the freedom to totally move stuff around. And of course, all of them are made with totally sustainable materials, so you can reuse them over and over and over again. They will not rust ever.
Yeah. Hey, my question is that TJ mentioned that the designs that they're doing for some of their mini weddings, mini monies, I guess, this weekend, are going out with pin frogs. And so I'm assuming that's built into the price, TJ. And I'd like to hear from Stephanie and Jessica. Are you seeing more people just add these to the cost of the arrangement and not try to like retrieve them at the end of the ceremony? So if any of you could comment on that.
So the arrangements, the way that we work is they're rentals, basically.
Oh, they are? Okay, so you get them back.
They're all coming back. And if a bride is like, no, you know, I'm from a big Italian family and we got to have all our aunts take the arrangements, then in their case, the structure changes. But that's the beauty of like Paulina's design consult is the bride can come in and choose whatever vase she wants. If she wants them, then, you know, that's a different conversation. If she chooses the biggest one, then we have to get a bigger frog and we have to get more flowers, which none of us ever complain about. But so they come back. If they were sold arrangements, it would probably be, I would have used 2 chicken wire balls to create a nice tight chicken wire ball and let them just go out with chicken wire.
Got it. Okay, great. That's helpful. And Stephanie and Jessica, are you seeing people, how are people addressing that issue of, because it's not, they're not expensive, but they do add to they're comparable to like the price of the vase probably, right?
Yeah, right. So there is added cost when using that mechanic. And I think I've actually seen a diversity across the board from our customers on how they kind of address that. There's some really amazing designers who are selling those in everyday arrangements. It's an added conversation piece. It's another way to continue to have a lifelong client and talking through the added benefits of keeping those and having them when you make it a complete sale. We've seen designers who certainly use them as part of their rental collection. And then there's also designers who've kind of thought outside of the box and have done a little bit of a buyback program where they send them out, but there is incentive if they so choose to send them back. So I think there's a couple of different ways that flower frog mechanics and the cost of those can be addressed within floral design community.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it's important to tell people why you're doing it, right? I mean, you're not really doing, I mean, it's yes, of course, like you can upcharge it to bring more profit into your arrangement. But at the same time, like I think that people, you know, they care about that stuff. They care about things that are cool and things that are sustainable and things that are something they can reuse and that, you know, your business is actually conscious of all these things. So I think that, you know, it's a good conversation to have with your clients. And yeah, of course, like if your client's like, I don't want to pay for that, chicken wire is great.
Yeah.
But there's definitely ways that, you know, we just see more and more people actually either wanting to keep them or are fine with having them, you know, rentals, whatever, because they understand the why. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Were you going to add something, TJ?
Yeah, I do.
Sorry.
Bowl is a big bowl. And if I didn't have the hairpin in it, I would have needed to use 90 flowers instead of like 32. I don't think that bowl feels like it's not full and bountiful and beautiful. There is that trade-off. Like you maybe invest whatever the mechanic is into the arrangement, but you can still sell a $200 arrangement for $200 because the mechanic enables you to get that full voluminous.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, this has been awesome. And I'm just tickled that we had both the design inspiration from TJ and a little bit of the behind the scenes mechanic instruction from Jessica and Stephanie. And we have a couple giveaways that the attendees of this call are going to be put into a drawing for, and 2 packages of Pin Frog goodness from Floral Genius or coming to one package to two different people. Can you just mention what's in that package, Stephanie? Because I don't know.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a 3.5-inch hairpin, which was close to the size. I think this is close to the size of what you were using today, DJ. If not, it's a size up. So a good big guy there. We're also gonna do a 2.5-inch pin holder, which is a really good kind of standard size for us. We see that between this one and the 3 is a good size. And then we're gonna do our little mini pin cup, which is a 1.5-inch pin cup that's got a flower frog inside of that. And wait, there's more.
There's more.
We're gonna do also our pin straighteners. So these are really cool. We love these. And basically, if you get a messed up pin on your pin holder, you just slide it over and you can correct all your pins, which TJ, I meant to send you one. I'll send you one, I promise. And then the final thing, because if you know anything about Floral Genius, you know that we are
Crazy people.
We're crazy people,
Yeah.
and we also own Harmony Harvest Farm, and everybody loves our stickers. So we're going to do a sticker set too of our funny "Don't Be Ranunculus." I love it when you call me Big Poppy. Too legit to quit.
That's great.
Our full sticker set. So it's a big little package.
It's so generous. It's so generous. Thank you so much. And we'll whoever receives those, we will fully expect some design demos on your Instagram feed and tagging Floral Genius and Slow Flowers so we can share the love. And also Karen has put Floral Genius's website, Instagram, and also Harmony Harvest link up in the chat so everybody can find and follow you. And we'll send it out to everybody in our recap email. Thank you all. I want to just, before we wrap up, congratulate, so those are the 2 giveaways. And then we're also going to do a drawing for a free copy of the Slow Flowers book. So that's three giveaways this week, this month. Thank you. Last month for August, we had 2 giveaways and I never announced the winners. So I think one of those winners might be on the call today, Debbie Middleman of Mi Viva Designs. And Debbie, a copy of the Slow Flowers Journal book is coming your way. I know that you ordered one, so I just signed this and hopefully you can give it as a gift or do something fun with it, do a giveaway. And then Stacy Lee from Paonia Designs is going to receive the Johnny's Seeds packet of a Johnny's embroidered hat and a hand cedar. So that went out to Stacy. So anyway, we like to share the love here and we always try to have some Slow Flowers swag and some stuff from our friends. So thank you. Thank you so much, Jessica and Stephanie, for supporting this meeting and also for sending TJ some more goodies to play with. Because you know what that means? We're just going to see more good stuff from you, TJ, on your feed.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
See, TJ makes content for him. He makes content for me too. It's great. And we appreciate it so much.
But I think we're all going to wait for that chicken wire donuts, product line. Somebody put in this chat box, chicken wire donuts with hot sauce. I don't know what that means, but
oh my gosh, they're speaking our language.
I love it.
Or I do, just at least call me and be like, thanks for the brilliant idea.
I think you're going to get in on that, TJ. You're going to get in on that.
Thank you every day.
Wonderful. So listen, we're going to post the replay video of this next week so people can see it, because I know Friday's not always good for everybody, and we get usually over 150 views of the replay video, and we know those are the people who are with us in spirit. Sorry, if you're not here, you don't get in the drawing for the giveaways. Our next monthly Slow Flowers member virtual meetup is scheduled for Friday, October 9th. I'm hoping to have some guests from Longfield Gardens, our bulb sponsor, and talk about fall bulb planting. It's not confirmed, but stay tuned on that, because October is the month we better be talking about planting our bulbs. And I just thank you all so much for being part of this call. It's been this whole hour has been uplifting. TJ, we needed this today. We all needed some lighthearted creativity and beauty in our lives. So thank you for bringing that to us. It's been wonderful. And I wish you well this weekend, TJ, with all those mini monis you guys are cranking out at Blue Jasmine. So tell Paulina, thank you for lending you to us for this hour. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, really.
Oh, good. Well, I hope to meet you in person sometime when I can get on an airplane again.
Love that.
All righty. Thank you all so much. And we'll talk in October, if not sooner. We'll let everybody know about the drawings next week. Okay, take care.